I thought love was only true in fairy tales, and for someone else, but not for me. Our love was out to get me. That's the way it seemed. Disappointment haunted all my dreams. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried. I thought love was more or less a given thing. Seems the more I gave, the less I got. What's the use in trying? And all you get is pain. When I needed sunshine, I got rain. Oh, then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried.
Hello and welcome to the Brew Crew Review. And I'm your host, Craig Miller, and I'm today on today's show, it's our first time ever episode of this, and over to my right, far right, that's Scott.
Hey there.
Next to him is Vince, and on my left is Brian.
How's it going?
So we'll jump right in here, talking about, we're all fired up about the Brewers this year, and they've exceeded expectations through the first half of the season. They came into the All-Star break with a 45-41 record, which is quite astounding since they haven't been over 500 for a full season for over 11 years. So I think they've overachieved this year, and it's due to a number of factors. So we're going to talk about a little bit of those. And also, congratulations to the two Brewer All-Stars, Ben Sheets and Dan Kolb, who both pitched a scoreless inning in the most recent All-Star game. So kudos to them. All right, so let's jump right into our first topic here. And first of all, the July 31st deadline is coming up fast approaching. And for some of you watching this, it might already be passed. But we're wondering what the Brewers, what we think the Brewers should do given their success coming in the All-Star break. They're only 2 games back of the wild card. And, they're overachieving. So at this point, do you think that the Brewers should be buyers or sellers here at the season deadline? Should we go out and get someone and make a push for the playoffs? Or should we sit back and trade some of the players that are overachieving for more prospects and build still for the future? I mean, do we have a legitimate shot this year? Does anyone want to chime in on that?
I can lead off with that one. I think that we need to give the impression to the fans that we actually are going to be going for this season only. Not for those, but we can't really mortgage our future either, though. I think trading for like a right fielder, possibly somebody to replace Brady Clark and Ben Grieve, just somebody cheap, somebody inexpensive, somebody like a Jeremy Burnett whose contract's expiring, somebody of that nature. We're not going to mortgage our future for this year because I think we have to be realistic that it's not a championship team we've got out there. But I don't think we can afford to be sellers just because it would just give a bad impression to the fans. If we've got people finally coming out to the games, I don't think that trading one of our top players would really be in our best interest at this point.
Well, Brian, I've got to ask, what kind of players would you be willing to offer then at the deadline for somebody for this year? We're talking for a player who's only going to be here possibly for the rest of this season.
I
Can
think
we trade an actual prospect or just somebody in the minor league system?
I think that it's usually at this time it's a B-level prospect anyways, a guy not usually intended to be a big prospect. Like a guy like when we picked up Wes Obermiller, that type of player where the guy's really not expected to be big in the major leagues. We get him as just kind of a throw-in for a player that's not going to be there for long. So we can't expect to be trading a big prospect for somebody who's only going to be here for a year or for 2 months. So it's an inexpensive contribution to the team that I think would be a good idea to go for.
And I think, unfortunately, some of the Brewers' top prospects this year in the minors are kind of underachieving, and they're not. I think fans were hoping that some of them would be ready by the start of next year, even by maybe this September. But I'm not sure if they're really ready. I think most of our top prospects are going to need a full another year in the minors. So with that being said, I think the future might not start next year. So should they make a run for it this year? I'm kind of torn on that. I don't I'm not all for trading for someone like Jeremy Burnett, even though a lot of people in Milwaukee might, have
Well,
been a long
it's
time
another
fan
lefty.
of him.
Yeah.
But
It's just
I
an
never
example of
liked
a player like that. Like
Yeah.
the White Sox pick up a guy like Carl Everett, where they're not expecting to be like a major contributor.
Yeah.
They traded something they really didn't need on their roster at that point with John Roush, where it's just something like that. I'm a player of that caliber. I'm not talking about specifically Jeremy Burnett's, but he's just one of the types of players that's available right now that would be.
And
something
since
to
we've
look into.
exceeded attendance figures, I've heard that Melvin kind of has the green light to maybe even add some payroll. We started the year, 27.9 million
Yeah,
payroll,
something
which is
like
just ridiculously low. And we've gotten a good value for that, but
Yeah.
it's like, so is it worth spending out a big contract? If it's for just 1 year, I don't know. Especially since usually people don't want to re-sign from Milwaukee, and there's no one
no.
out there on the trade market that I can think of right now that really would really entice me.
More
What-
than likely.
What about a Danny Bautista?
Go ahead. See, that's
Arizona, right fielder. Obviously, Arizona's dismantling right now, trading away some of their better players and talking about trading away even more.
I
Bautista
think
could be on the market, and he's a great hitter.
he's a good hitter. He's better than what we've got right now, especially in the field. I think we've all gotten tired of watching Ben Grieve and Brady Clark chasing ground balls around the outfield. But Danny Bautista, I think that's another player of that nature, where it's just a guy with a short-term contract. We're not on the hook for a lot of salary.
I kind of agree. And so with that being said, if we're to trade someone, what are the specific needs that you think we need to address here for the Brewers going into the second half?
More than likely, I'm thinking that the type of guy that we're going to wind up picking up is somebody that we don't have to give up a lot for. Somebody that's probably being overpaid and then another team wants to just get rid of.
It's like a Sean Estes type player.
Somebody like that, that's obviously a proven veteran and they know what they're expected of, but they're having a down year and they're definitely overpaid. I think it's somebody like that we'd be able to pick up on. But I'm not necessarily looking at right field, because even though Grieve and Clark haven't done so much, I kind of like the platoon with the righty-lefty thing going on. But
So you think like more like third base?
third
or
base,
for
even
fifth
second
starter?
base, either one.
So you don't think Spivey's a viable option there? Or just
When he comes back, he'll
Yeah.
do fine, but
It's another month.
Yeah,
They could
okay.
be
Another
back in a
month.
few weeks to a month, but in the interim, I think Bill Hall and Ginter and Council will fill in. I think so. I'm not so worried about second base, especially with the future, Ricky Weeks eventually being up. I guess we do need to cover big second base now for most of next year. But to me, the specific needs I think we need in the second half, I'm amazed at how great our pitching's done. Really, coming into before the season, I'm thinking, okay, I think our hitting might be just as good as last year, even without Sexton, because we have more depth and all that stuff. But I'm thinking, okay, we have like Sheets, and he still hasn't come into his own, and then we have Doug Davis, who's kind of an enigma, and then we have the rest pretty much pray for rain, I think, coming into this season with a few young guys that maybe had some potential, like Capuano. But to me, guys like Santos step up. Doug Davis has been phenomenal. Capuano's been good when he's been healthy. Obermiller, not as much.
Well, Craig,
you know.
I was going to ask you, that fifth spot, Obermiller's spot in the rotation. Today we called up
Hendrickson, yeah.
Hendrickson. He's not pitching so well right now. I'm not sure when viewers will be watching this, but
he's got
Yeah.
Brewers are down
Show
6-1
started.
right now as the show is going on in Cincinnati, first game of the series tonight.
Well, that's a
I've,
rookie.
I've heard talk though about maybe trying to acquire a fifth starter at the break instead of a right fielder or a third baseman. Are we talking about somebody like a Jamie Moyer? The Mariners, like the Diamondbacks, another team that are looking to rid themselves of some veteran players.
We would be much improved with Jamie Moyer.
Jamie
but,
Moyer's a-
isn't
I think
Jamie
it-
Moyer
I
like
think
50?
Yeah, I think
He
that's
is 50, but he's pitching well right now.
I think his
so-
family's kind of bedded down there too. I think they said it's not going to be available now.
Okay,
which
well,
hurts.
perhaps somebody like a
Guy-
Jamie
yeah,
Moyer.
a guy of that
somebody's on the
nature.
market.
To me, the only really attractive starter on the market is Chris Benson, and I
And
think
he's,
I
beyond
think that
innings.
they want too much from him. We'd have to give up probably a high grade prospect. To get
They
him.
wanted a good player, like a major league ready player and a high level prospect.
Yeah,
And
which is something
if they
we
got
can't-
one or the other with the salary
I
that
would be
they're paying
willing to give
Benson,
them, say, a package of Ben Grieve, who they probably don't want, Wes Obermiller, who they don't want, and then throw in Brad Nelson, or maybe
I think Brad Nelson's a guy that
double A pitcher like Serafate or something like that. That would be doable. I don't think that's going to get it done.
But then we'd also have to break the bank that we couldn't just afford to trade for Chris Benson for 2 months. We'd have to make sure he resigns.
I also think they'll
Which
probably
Scott
up
Wisconsin
the ante.
has, yeah.
They'll up the ante for somebody within their division, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of competition for the guys since Randy Johnson might not be available. Jamie Moore is not available. Chris Benson's it as far as starting pitching goes. So
I
that
think
might
they're
be-
going to get a good return on Benson. From what I understand, if I had to predict, I think he's going to go to the Twins. He's actually from Superior, Wisconsin,
Yeah.
which is closer to the Twin Cities than it is here. And but I really think that they need a starting pitcher. And I think they feel that they're more contenders than we are at this point. They're much closer to their division title. Right now, the Cardinals are pulling away with our division. I think their best hope is going to be for the wild card. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And even that, as days go on, now maybe by the end of July, we might start falling back in the wild card. So then what do you do? I guess then, okay, so let's go to the next question. Who do you think the Brewers should, if they're to trade guys to acquire someone else or just acquire prospects, say, what current Brewers do you think you would be willing to trade or right now have value and that someone else might want?
I think the guy that sticks out in my mind right now is I would look at Danny Kolb as a serious option to be traded. There's quite a few teams out there that look for an end of the game reliever, just a closer, setup man. Especially Danny Kolb. I mean, he was never really even a good pitcher until he got here. The last 2 years he's really blossomed, especially this year. But relief pitchers are really, they're up and down. You have a guy like Kyle Farnsworth, Felix Rodriguez. 1 year, the most highly touted guys in the league. Next year, they're 5.6 ERAs. I think the guy right now has a lot of trade value. We can get quite a bit of value in return for the guy. And a team right now, if we're planning on not contending, really having a top-of-the-line closer is really useless. Look at what the Padres have done with Trevor Hoffman throughout the years. I mean, he's been a dominant closer, but what really good is he doing for the team? Could they do much better having a player in return, a prospect in return that could benefit the team much more?
I
than he
agree.
could?
If there's a hole, if we were to make a hole, I think the closer is one of those holes that can most easily be filled through your minor leagues or even from possible setup guy like Vizcaino. In fact, when we got rid of Wickman, that Vizcaino was next in line, that offseason, everyone was after Vizcaino had a phenomenal year, almost on par with what Kolb does, but from the setup role. And then everyone was calling the A's, everyone, and we were like, he's not available. The next year, he comes and he gets lit up like a Christmas tree.
Exactly.
So, I mean, really, but now he's kind of regaining his form, but he's not. It's going to take him a long time to regain that value. So, but he's someone who can maybe become a closer eventually, if not someone like Matt Wise, maybe. Who knows? But
Yeah, Adams is pitching well. He's got good stuff. It's pretty tough at the end of the games.
But I think with the surge in attendance, I really feel that the Brewer administration is really going to think twice about tinkering with what's working right now. I think that they're really going to want to take a step forward and try to finish over 500 with the core that they have, because I don't think that anyone they have right now is really someone that they need to get rid of. It's not like someone with a huge contract that we're not going to be able to re-sign is on the team like we have in the past. Right now, I think we might just sit with the team we have. That's what my feeling is.
If Kolb doesn't go, there's even a chance that Vizcaino's market value is up enough now that he could even wind up getting traded. You just don't know.
He's tough against righties. And he gives up too many homers, but he still gets a ground ball when he needs it. I think that's a pretty good commodity right now.
Put him in LA,
The problem with the trading of either setup man or closer right now, I'm looking at most people that trade and were willing to trade high-grade prospects for, at the trading deadline are going to be contenders. And right now, all the division leaders and everyone who's in the wild card, right now outside of maybe the Giants, don't need a closer or a setup guy.
The Cubs have talked a lot about looking for a closer as well, but we don't really want to trade inside the division.
Yeah, I can't see Vizcaino or Kolb going to the Cubs.
They'd
I
have to
can't see the Giants
a
really
lot.
offering a top-level prospect. I'm not sure if they're really secure as themselves as being a contender. Their team is has
Matt Hurd has
too
been
many
struggling,
holes.
but
Yeah.
I really think that they're going to stick with him or someone within and not make a move. Because also, I don't know if they have a whole lot of prospects to really.
They
offer
really don't
either,
have much
so.
we can get.
I like to shy a little bit away from pitching. I agree with you, Craig, that we might not want to break up a team like this. A team that's playing very well and overachieving at the time of at least this broadcast. But if we were going to look at somebody that might possibly be on the trading block, what about somebody like an extra infielder, like a Craig Counsell? We do have Bill Hall. We've got Keith Kinter.
been
Junior
shopping Craig
Spivey will be
Counsell
back
so
in
long.
3 or 4 weeks.
If Spivey didn't get hurt, I think it was a plan at the time when we even acquired Spivey.
To trade him
he was going to
eventually.
be trading
Right.
fodder basically by the All-Star break. And now that he's hurt, coupled with the fact that Weeks is struggling at Double-A, that I really think that if it all, we'll let him go to arbitration and keep him one more year. Maybe do the same thing with him next year at the All-Star break if we see that Weeks has made stride and that Spivey maybe can increase his value. Because he was really starting to pick it up before he got hurt, which is unfortunate.
What about a guy like Counsell, though? He's a guy who
Counsell.
can play a bunch of different positions. He's going to be
Counsell
valuable
is
to the
valuable,
team.
and
he's got postseason experience.
And
too,
I
for a
think he
contender.
somehow makes teams better, and
He
a lot
does.
of it goes with his feeling. So I think he's going to be a hot commodity, but I just have a funny feeling Melvin's not going to pull a trigger on that one. He's kind of he's a hometown guy, partially a fan favorite, and I think he is a reason why I don't know why it is. He's not hitting that well, but but with
We just
fielding
win.
or just his intangibles are really rubbing off on the rest of the team. I
He's
think
played
that,
on winning teams.
Yeah, we just win when he's in the lineup. There's
It's
really nothing else to
Yeah.
say about him.
It seems like every time there's a guy on base and he's up, he knows what to do. Like
Yeah.
he can either move the guy over or he can bring the run in. Like he can either draw the walk for you or he can put the ball in play somewhere where you can bring in somebody.
And you'd
and
hope,
we need that.
yeah, you'd hope that would catch on with guys like Keith Ginter really aren't able to do that. That maybe they would, see him and see that's how baseball's supposed to be played.
People talk about Jeter and how he's like the king of the fundamentals or whatever, and like he can't hold a candle to counsel.
No,
I mean,
you
just
can't,
when
you
it
can't do
comes to
anything flashy,
fundamentals.
but yeah,
Just from that respect, I don't want to say
exactly.
What do
yeah.
you guys think, though, of a guy like Bill Hall? Somebody else who maybe hasn't been given enough chances
I don't know
to
if
play.
he hasn't shown enough at the major league level to really have much of a value to another team. I don't think anyone's going
Not
to call
to
him,
trade,
hey,
I mean-
it's Bill Hall.
No, to play in
step
place of Council, maybe to have a bit of more of an opportunity to play. If he's
I
going
think
to
we
do it,
have
it's going to be
enough
with a team
lefties.
like the Brewers.
We've got enough lefties in our lineup where it almost hurts us to have Council. We'll have lefties from 1 through 4 spot in our lineup when Council's batting second.
You had somebody like a Hall who's got a bit of pop in his bat. He's shown that he's at least capable of playing well
Yeah.
if he gets a chance.
And it is a dilemma because, like, if you look at our infield, maybe Council's the most expendable, and he's got the highest contract. But I don't think we're too worried about that with our low payroll. I don't know. I really just don't think we're going to move him. Unfortunately, I just think that it takes away our total depth, and maybe that's really been our strength so far. Because to me, the most frustrating thing right now, our offense is not happening. And I know to me, the person I put a lot of blame on is Jeff Jenkins, I know. But the bottom line is, when I watch games now, it's not like we're having rallies. We don't have rallies necessarily. What we do is we try to manufacture a run. We'll have a guy over at third and try to get him in, and sometimes we're not successful with that. That's frustrating, but I can see that that's still that's good philosophy that Yost is instilling. And guys like Council are going to be the ones who show the rest of the guys. So I agree, he's probably going to stay.
Yeah, I would think so.
Let's kind of move on to the next topic then. Basically, okay, and we've kind of already broached this a little bit. Both Doug Davis and Danny Cole were gems found by Doug Melvin, the GM for the Brewers, on the waiver wire last season. Both former Rangers, and they've performed at all-star level. Obviously, Danny Cole pitched in the all-star game. So, okay, back to the same kind of question. Should the Brewers try to trade either of these players, and I know Brian said Cole maybe, while their value is high, or should they try to sign them to multi-year contracts after the season? Because of the fact that they're pitching so well, which is great for us, if they can continue for future seasons, that'll be great. But the Brewers have them dirt cheap right now, and at the end of the season, we're going to have to pony up probably in the range of like 2-year, $5 million contracts for both these guys, if not more. And so basically, A, are they worth it? If they're not, should we trade them now, or what should we do?
Yeah, I think I've already made my piece about Danny Cole, but I don't think that we're in any place right now to be paying for a closer at any kind of, at a bargain price, yes, but any kind of premium, I don't think we can afford it. But Doug Davis, we've been looking for a left-handed starter for an eternity. What, Teddy Higuero, left-handed starters?
Caldwell?
Yeah, we trade for Glendon Rush. He blew up in our face. Chris Capiano looks great now, but if you look at the Central, we've got no left-handed pitching other than Andy Pettitte and the Astros.
He's getting
Otherwise,
rocked or hurt.
yeah, but nobody else is left-handed pitching. We have 2 lefties in our rotation right now. Capiano, Beeler for a little while. I think Doug Davis is a commodity we can't afford to lose right now.
I agree. I think he's really turned around here under Mike Maddox, and he's going to want to stay here. And if it's a little bit cheaper, so be it. I don't think that he's going to go off and try to acquire a high-priced contract simply because he can. I think that he's going to be happy here in Milwaukee. Maybe I'm too idealistic with this, but I really think that Davis is happy in Milwaukee and has had success here. Why wouldn't he want to stay here after being released by Texas and Toronto? It was Doug Melvin and the Brewers that took a chance on Doug Davis. It was the first team that really did that.
Yeah.
And hopefully he's appreciative of that, and he's certainly pitched well enough
Well,
to
they
deserve
did
a
the
couple-year contract.
same thing with Cole. I mean,
And
who's
Cole,
to say
too.
that
Yeah.
he
And
won't
Cole,
do the
too.
same thing?
I mean, I don't doubt Doug Davis will want to stay with us, but he's going to want money. And I mean, I think he's worth it. And I agree with Brian and you guys that I think he's someone we should keep. He's been a phenomenal, even number 2 starter. And if you would have asked me that before the season, I would have said, I don't know about that. He seems like more of a 3 or 4.
He's
if
at 9
we're
wins
lucky.
right now.
And
Yeah.
yeah, he's had like 75% of the starts have been quality starts, which is phenomenal. So I mean, if he can keep this up for this season, I think he's worth sticking around. And if he was 35 or more, that would be one thing. Someone like Jamie Moore getting up in age, and that he's a lefty, he's valuable. Someone else would want him. That's great. Right, I think he's only 29 or maybe 30, so he's got at least 5 more quality pitching years left in him in the rotation. So we might as well build while we bring up the young guys. He can kind of anchor the top half of the staff along with Sheets, and I think that's a good. And I know Sheets has been the one that Doug gets all the calls about, but luckily, very proud of the fact that he's not going to be willing to trade him because I think right now he's the hottest pitcher in baseball, and hopefully, if the Brewers could give him some run support, he can make a run that Cy Young. But right
Sports
now, it's not
Weekly's
gonna.
Bob Nightingale this week said that he has a chance. So.
All right. Well, we better start scoring up some runs. So
That's
it goes back to that notion. Like we really, either the guys that we have need to pick it up, like Ben Grieve, Jeff Jenkins, even Podsednik really is having an off year compared to last year. So if these guys can pick it up, maybe we can just do it from within and pick up the offense, and maybe they can match the output of the pitching. My fear is that'll happen, and then the pitching will start to go south.
Yeah.
Especially, and it's going to happen with like Hendrickson's up, 5th starter. Now he might get shelled a couple of games. He's a rookie. Should we send him back down and mess with his confidence, or should we leave him in there? I mean, I don't think he's going to be much worse than Obermiller over the course of the season, maybe in the 5th hole. So, I mean, I think you're going to have to stick with him and go through his growing pains, which is going to cost us several victories. So, with that being said, I have a hard time believing that the Brewers will really stay in that wild card chase very much longer than a couple weeks into August. However, I do think that we would make a huge accomplishment by finishing over 500. And by what I've seen so far, we finished 500 every month of the season, which is the first time we've done that in like forever, I think. So let's do it. Let's finish 500. Let's keep the guys we have maybe, and then go from there.
Every time we look like we're going to drop off, we drop 2 to the Cubs. We'll take 2 back. It's just working out well for us. I don't know if breaking up anything right now is a good idea.
And I think the longer we can stick in it, in the middle of summer here, this is really going to get the fans here who've been starved for some winning baseball and walking for a long time fired up, and we see them coming out. And it's not just for the bobblehead this year either, I don't think.
They still like those too.
Yeah. So, okay, on to the next topic. Lyle Overbay has been the Brewers' #1 offensive force. He didn't make the All-Star team, but he's hitting around 340. He had 37 doubles at the All-Star break, which is a record-setting pace. Okay, so what do you guys think? Has Overbay been more or less valuable than Richie Sexson at first base compared to Sexton's production over the 3 years prior? I mean, he averaged close to 40 home runs a year and 120 RBIs or something like that. So, so what do you think? Has Overbay been more valuable, less valuable, the same, or what do you think? Obviously that everyone agrees that trade's really worked out for us because of the number of players we got from Arizona. But my question is, straight up, and obviously don't consider the fact that Sexton was injured and out for this year. Obviously, it's really worked out for. But even with just replacing Sexton's bat from last year with Overbay's this year has been more or less valuable. And also, take a prediction on how many doubles he's going to finish the year with.
Listen, Richie Sexton's obviously a great ball player. You can't doubt the fact that Richie was an all-star caliber player. He's one of the best players in Major League Baseball. He plays great defense and great offense. But having said that, I think that Lyle Overbay might be a better overall player than Richie Sexton in some ways. Richie, yeah, he can play defense, and yeah, he can hit home runs. But Richie's not going to be hitting as many doubles as Lyle Overbay is. Lyle's going to be a little bit short in the home run department, but yet he's still got some power, too. I think that if you're talking hitters, he might be a more complete hitter than Richie Sexton. He doesn't strike out nearly as much. He gets on base far more times than Richie Sexton does. Richie's a home run hitter. Lyle's not as much, but he still is, and I think overall you're going to get a far better bargain with Lyle Overbay at first base. It's in a tandem with the players that we got back from the Diamondbacks as well.
Richie's going to have the ability to take over a game by himself by hitting the long ball. He can go on a tear just like anybody, like any other power hitter. But overall, he's also going to go through those 0 for 20s, 2 for 30s or something like that where he's going to slump. Overbay, I don't think is going to go one way or the other. He's just, I don't know if you can take over a game without being able to hit homers all the time, but his average is through the roof, and he's not going to slump. I just don't see it happening.
I actually agree with you completely. I think that he's actually been the rock in the lineup. When we can't hit at all, Lyle Overbay still hitting the 1-out double, 2-out double, at least giving the team a chance to pick him up, which a lot of times they haven't been picking him up, but he still keep on plugging along. He's batting 300 every month. He's batting well above 300 for every month, actually. And he just keeps on going. I think if the rest of the team could pick it up to his pace, well, not relatively, of course, but
that's just the problem. They haven't the majority of the team is hitting between 240 and 270. Almost everyone's hitting in the 250s.
Yeah.
You look at Overbay, he's hitting consistently 340. That's amazing. Sexton was a 270 hitter, but with 45 home run power. I would think Overbay is going to finish maybe 330 with 25 homers. Mm-hmm. So to me, and probably, well, we'll take the guess on the double, a lot of doubles. So to me, that offset, it really, for him getting on base a lot and driving in runs, he's being just as productive as Sexton. However, he really isn't one of those game changers with the 3-run homer that Sexton can provide. Sometimes the Brewers have really been lacking that. You can kind of tell. I was hoping Jenkins would step it up and be able to hit 35, 40 homers in maybe a breakout season since he's finally healthy. He really has not gotten his groove, and he's very streaky. I keep waiting. Okay, he's going to break. He's going to go on like a two-week, month-long tear, and all his numbers will be up, but it's just not happening. So I don't know if there's just too much pressure on him. I do love the Jenkins. You can't, he goes all 100% on defense. I would be surprised if he doesn't win a Gold Glove this year. I mean, he's made phenomenal plays.
He should.
He really
should have
should. I
last
mean, I know they base that more on the numbers too. So if he doesn't pick those up, he probably won't get it. But I mean, he's invaluable to the team, and not only that, but he signed a big contract before the year. But more than that, he was a free agent that wanted to stay with the Brewers, and I really, commend them for signing him. And he got the money he deserved. He didn't get underpriced at all, and the Brewers, stepped up to the plate, and he was from within the organization. They signed him. Now he needs to do his part, and I think he'll break out of the slump. But
I think that you've got to commend Jeff Jenkins too, and I do applaud the Brewers and Doug Melvin for taking that extra step and signing him. But at the same time, I think that you've got to look at a guy like Jeff Jenkins and say, hey, this guy's our star. He's our big player, especially going into this year. We didn't know how Overbay was going to do. Jeff Jenkins said he wanted to stay in Milwaukee, and he was going to sign here for even a little bit less money. He was happy to be here. I think that does wonders for confidence on a team. The Brewers right now are a team that really need that kind of little confidence boost, and they're going to get that from a guy like Jenkins re-signing with the Brewers and saying, hey, I believe in you guys. Milwaukee, you've got a chance to be a contender in a few years, and I think that was huge.
That being said, though, he really does need to pick it up. I think we expect a guy like Kyle Overbay to be productive in the middle of the lineup, but we do need the other guys to pick him up. With the power we have on our team right now, we need the guys that actually do have power potential to be hitting home runs, which means a guy like Wes Helms, who does have 25 home run power, needs to not be a complete joke at the plate. Jeff Jenkins needs to not be striking out nearly as much as he is. He's actually hit for power. He has 13 home runs this year. Brady Clark and Ben Grieve are doing near that together anyways.
yeah, together. Even,
But I mean,
Yeah.
you have Scott Pasednik, who's hitting almost many home runs, our supposed power hitter. That's just not helping the offense along at all. He's batting. He's not like he's in a tough spot in the lineup either. He's getting pitches to hit and not hitting them.
Yeah, you could definitely argue that Pasetnik's been a lot less valuable to us this year than last year. Not only is his average down like 50 points or something like that, and he steals tons of bases. And he's very proficient. You gotta love the guy, but he's hitting for power and it's brought his average down. So that's not something we need from him. We really need that from our right fielders. And Ben Grieve he takes walks, has a decent on base percentage, but overall he only has 4 homers on the year. I know he only has like 200 at bats, but that only projects to like 10, 12 homers on a full number of at bats. That's not major league quality to me. So that's something,
Especially for a starting
address.
right fielder.
Yeah, and Brady Clark is his twin half on the right side. He's very, and not only that, but both of them have shortcomings on defense. So, I think that's one season, maybe one area, not maybe during the season, but sometime in the offseason we're going to have to address again. If someone like Corey Hart is not ready to step up from the minors and maybe fill that spot, we'll have to see. All right, let's move along here. Let's quick do a roundabout. I forgot to answer predict Lyle Overbay. He had 37 doubles at the break. Predict how many doubles you think Overbay will finish the season with. Let's start with Scott and we'll go around.
Now, what is the record? 67?
67.
Well, then I'm going to have to go with 68.
All right, you think he's going
He
for
is
it?
on
He's pulling
pace.
up for his triple. He's pulling up
Yeah,
in second.
He did do that once.
So he's going. He's going to have to start stretching some singles.
That's the thing. I don't think he's able to do that. I don't think he can stretch singles enough
sure
in
if
the
he has the
doubles to be
speed
able
for that.
to
No,
challenge
he
the
doesn't have
record.
speed.
And we've had guys like Wade Boggs and Craig Biggio pushing the doubles record, and they've all slowed down about 55, 57. I think somewhere around that range is about what we can expect out of the guy.
Okay, 55, 57. Let's get one solid number so we'll
50,
see who's right at the
okay,
end here.
56.
56. You say 68.
I'm going to be a little bit optimistic here and say low 70s. I think he's going to keep
wow.
up. Low
That's
70s.
amazing.
He's going to keep on pace for where he is
And
right
he's not even an
now.
all-star. Wow.
Not even an all-star, but
Well,
that's not his fault. He's playing
no.
like one. So
What a
I'm going
homer.
to be optimistic here and say Lyle Overbay is going to break the doubles record
One of
this
the
season.
big factors about this whole thing is that when Jenkins first, was in the starting lineup and Overbay was batting 3 and Jenkins was 4th, and people were throwing a lot of fastballs to Overbay because they were afraid to get to Jenkins. Now it's the opposite. Now Overbay is batting 4th, and there's really nobody behind him after that. So I'm more worried about is he going to start getting a good amount of walks or start seeing a lot of garbage? It's going to be interesting.
I really thought Spivey, right before he got hurt, was really picking up, and I think it was starting to ripple effect through the rest of the offense. I loved him in 2-hole. They had him at the 3-hole for like the first month and a half, and I didn't think he fit there with Council ahead of him. I really thought he was good at number 2, Jenkins 3, and Overbay 4th. I loved that lineup, and it didn't last for more than a week or two, and then he was down. So if we get that back, maybe that'll improve the offense without outside addition. I think, and someone else like Ben Grieve has just got to pick it up, or Brady Clark, whoever gets the playing time out there. If they're not, give Corey Hart a chance. If he's ready or not, you might as well let him get
Anyone
some
at
run
third?
hits.
I mean,
Anyone at third. Ginter needs to pick it up. Helms needs to pick it up. If Hall's playing there like he is now, we need somebody with a power bat at third base. You can't afford to have a power position with a guy who doesn't have any pop to his bat.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and predict that the Overbay will end up with 59 doubles. So let's move on to the next question.
All right.
Okay, so for the first half, who's your pick for the unsung hero, Brewers Unsung Hero Award for the first half? Who's really just come out of nowhere or has really exceeded expectations, or just someone who's just very valuable to the Brewers that really doesn't get the recognition? Anyone want to start?
This whole team is a team of unsung heroes, I think, right now. But if I had to pick one guy, I'd go with Doug Davis. A guy in the rotation, obviously, we've talked about him a little bit already, but he is a solid number 2 starter. If no other time in his career, certainly this season, he's pitched well. He's got 9 wins. We expected him maybe to have, maybe that for the entire year. I don't know that anybody could have expected double-digit wins out of Doug Davis.
And I heard
at the
people
beginning of the
talking
year.
before the season started that, wow, we found this gem. He's really going to come through for us. But I wasn't sold on it until I saw him.
Well,
come
last
through.
year he
And,
only signed with us. I think he started playing sometime in August.
And
I
he
could be
pitched
wrong
well
on
for
that,
6 weeks, and
He did.
that's why everyone got excited. But I'm like, no, wait a second, this guy's a journeyman.
He's got
No
really
one even
spiked-
wanted him. He got tucked by Toronto. and he's
Texas,
pitching.
Toronto.
And so it's like, can we really put our faith in this guy as a number 2 starter? I didn't think so. Well, I was wrong, and I'm glad to say it. But
He's my unsung hero this year.
cool.
when I first saw him, I thought he was going to be the next Wayne Franklin. He pitched good at the end of the year during garbage time, and let's see how he does in, facing other number 2 starters. And hats off. Just as many quality starts as Ben Sheets this year.
That's pretty amazing.
It's a huge
for the
stat.
first half. So who's your pick, Scott, for the unsung hero, though?
There were so many, I don't even know. I mean, like Victor Santos, Capuano, both of them just came up. You could say the whole starting rotation minus Ben Sheets. And even Ben Sheets is pitching lights out compared to what he's usually done. But at the beginning of the year, you would say, well, who are some Brewers starting pitchers? I would have said Ben Sheets and some other guys, I don't know.
You guys,
So you think collectively, but if you had to pick one guy out of the staff,
There-
outside of Doug Davis, who would you pick? I mean, who's really just like, oh, I can't believe this guy's pitching that good?
Having said that, this is almost kind of a homer topic, but I'm going to have to say Overbay.
Yeah.
He wasn't an all-star. He's hitting 340. He's carried the team offensively. And
It's like Arizona gave him a 3-4 week trial last year to replace Grace, and they were like, oh, you're
benched
only
him.
hitting 280, so they sent him back down to AAA, and then eventually they didn't want to give him his job back for whatever reason, and they decided at some point during last season that they wanted to trade or wanted to acquire someone like Sexton because they needed power. They weren't getting from anywhere else. They thought, hey, why have a first baseman who's just an average hitter? Well, we're benefiting from having someone, I think, like Overbay. So.
of all the players that we've just listed, I think Overbay is going to be the one that 2 years from now people are going to know his name.
Yeah.
So having said that, I think technically that makes him unsung right now.
Yeah, definitely. All right, how about you, Brian?
I think what you jokers are talking about, they're just hitting my point, but not even hitting it on the head. Is you talk about Santos, you talk about Davis. These guys are unsung. Capuano's pitching out of his mind. How about Mike Maddox for unsung hero of the
That's
year?
a good point.
The guy's taking a bunch of guys that are jokers. Santos was tossed to the trash by the Pirates, by the Rockies.
Devil Rays.
I mean, nobody wants this guy. We take him. He's got a 4 ERA. He's 9-3. Had Doug Davis. Nobody wanted. He's gotten cut by the. If you get cut by both the Blue Jays and the Rangers staff, there's something wrong with you. I mean, neither one has pitching that can do anything. And then you take Ben Sheets just coming to his own. Danny Kolb turning from a guy who had a 5-something ERA for the Rangers into a lights-out closer, ERA of 1.7. This guy's done such a fantastic job with the staff.
Even our middle relievers outside of Matt Kinney, who shouldn't be on the team in my opinion, or in the majors, outside of him, everyone else in the bullpen have come out of nowhere. Matt Wise, Mike M. Who are these guys?
Yeah, nobody knows, but
It's
this
like
guy's-
they're doing great,
This guy's getting the top production out of complete losers. I mean, somebody's garbage is our treasure, but
So with that being said, I agree with you. Mike Maddox has got to be behind this. I mean, a combination. Doug Melvin for finding guys with talent and giving them a chance, throwing them out there and seeing what they can do. If they don't work out, we'll send them back and get someone else in there. But it's worked out. He's found the guys with talent off the waiver wire, and then Mike Maddox takes them, molds them, and somehow making it work. It's magic.
Let's not forget about Ned Yost.
Ned Yost is.
Oh,
Yost,
of course.
clearly.
I don't think he's on
He's-
Sunday.
He's the hero
And
himself.
I think we're going to see Ned Yost as a Brew manager for a long, long time, and that's going to be amazing.
Perhaps National League Manager of the Year this year.
Yeah. But to me, besides all those guys we mentioned, really the guy who I still can't comprehend that is doing so well is definitely Santos. Every time he pitches, I'm like, wow, this guy's he just doesn't give up runs. He gives up hits and stuff, but not runs. So what else can you answer?
You're waiting to wake up from the dream where the guy's just
Yeah, it's
He
like I
gave up
keep
8.
expecting him to come back to life. but
He had
it's not
one
happening.
bad start.
Yeah, he'll give up 8 hits in 6 innings and just gives up 1 run or 2
Yeah, and
runs.
he keeps the
That's
Brewers
it.
in the game for the bullpen to keep them in, and then we can manufacture enough runs and win like we just did, 4-2 or something like that. That's the type of games we've been winning. I don't remember the last time we scored more than 5, actually, so that can't be good either. But all right, so my pick for the Unsung Hero Award, though, actually is going to be someone who really was part of the Arizona trade, and it was someone who I myself, like before the season, was like, oh, we don't really need this guy. It's kind of like a hometown thing, and he doesn't deserve to start, I didn't think. But he's going to bridge the gaps for the young guy. That's fine or whatever, and he's going to provide the intangibles. But not only that, I just my pick has got to be Craig Counsell. And I mean, it's kind of embarrassing because he's only hitting like 247 or something like that. But like everything else, all the little things he's doing right. Our fielding has improved vastly, and he's a big part of that. So I think whatever it's unspoken intangibles that he's bringing to the whole team, and I think that's really a factor. And he's got the perfect type of player mentality for a manager like Yost. So that's one of the reasons why at first I was like, well, let's get rid of him and get as much, if anything, we can from right away. But now it's like, why not let him stick around for another year or something and then get, why not?
I just don't think the numbers really show how really
Yeah.
good he is. If you see him step into the batter's box and you say, okay, on this at bat, what do we need this guy to do? It's done. I mean, he'll do it every time.
Outstanding situational hitter, that's for sure.
Cool. All right, well, we're taking up a lot of time here, but let us good. Okay, so let's move on to a couple more before we go to a break. All right, before the season, the Brewers really were rated as having the best minor league system in baseball, and probably not one of the top, probably one of the bottom 5 actual major league teams in baseball is what people expect coming in this year. What did we lose last year? 100 and some games?
Yeah.
I don't even remember. It was sad.
67 wins, I think.
Or something. But so at least our fans started to get excited because our minor league system's rated number 1. We're waiting for these guys. So basically, with that being said, there's been some ups and downs with their season, but that's all part of being in the minors and letting these guys grow into their own and go through the hardships. And I think that all these guys will come through for us eventually. I really do believe that. So with that being said, does anyone want? Let's rank. We have a pretty deep system. Name, for people who are just casual Brewer fans maybe watching, name your top 5 Brewer minor league prospects that you're looking forward to one day making an impact with the team. Maybe someone we won't trade, we'll hold on to and will make an impact. Name 5 guys. You can do them in any order, but try to do it from 5 to 1. Name the guy you really expect to make an impact. Let's just do a little list here, and you can comment if you want, but maybe just a straight off list. Does anyone want to go
I think
first?
for most of us, it's going to be just ranking 2 through 5 mostly. I think all of us are pretty excited about Prince Fielder. Just the kind of power potential that he has. It's something that we really are lacking in the team right now. And we're all looking forward to him. We read every day in the paper, he hit his 15th homer yesterday. It's like, wow, I can't wait to watch this guy play. So I think that's going to be, is anybody argue with that?
It's great to see him in Beloit.
Well, we should do our list and see what we had number 1. But yeah, he is someone.
I'm
He's only
labeled
hitting
number
like 270, but he does have 15 homers. But he had about 10 of them in the first 3 weeks this season,
Yeah.
so he's really slumped. But I think it'll be part of the process. I do think he's going to finish with 25 to 30 homers in the minors this year, and then make the next step next year. And I think by 2006 he'll be up with the club for good. I would say, if not by September of next year. So anyway, what other guys are you looking for, Brian?
Well,
to
of
come
course,
through?
Ricky Weeks is the other no-brainer, just the kind of potential he has there. 5-tool prospect at second base, it really doesn't exist very often. I think I'm losing faith in guys like Ben Hendrickson, so I think Manny Parr is the guy I'm really looking forward to seeing in the team. I think I'd really like to see him get a shot on the roster. And then J.J. Hardy's another guy I'm really looking forward to watching. Guys, he's been amazing in the minor leagues. I think this guy's something that, not at the end of this year anymore, but I think beginning of next year, maybe in September, is a guy that we should be looking at. And for the number 5 hole, I think Corey Hart's definitely a guy I like watching. I was there for his first game when he roped one into the Buckethead Brigade.
They're together.
He's a big fan of the guy in the minor leagues. It's nice watching him play. Just really looks like a guy who has big power potential. Can play a couple different positions. That's something that's pretty clutch for us.
I know they mentioned it on TV too, but it was really cool that he got a standing O from the fans just for coming up and basically getting a cup of coffee quick in the majors. But it was pretty cool that our fans would show him that kind of respect. It was great.
I think that really. Or go ahead.
I was just going to ask you guys, actually, what do you guys think about a guy like Mark Rogers? I put him on my list only because he's such an unknown yet. He's a number 1 draft pick. He pitched amazing in high school in Maine. But at the same time, we don't know what he's going to be able to do on a professional level.
I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be someone on par with, and it's tough to really project that since he's coming out of high school and not
Right.
college like Ben Sheets did. But I really expect him to have a ceiling similar to Sheets.
There's certainly
and
a lot of
possibly
upside.
higher. I mean, it's so much of an unknown, but I think he's got like a 10% to even have a higher ceiling along the lines of Schilling, Clemens, maybe a 5. No, that's almost like a 1% chance. But whatever. I mean, the bottom line is I think he's got a high ceiling, and
Let's hope it's not a Todd Van Poppel ceiling.
no, I do think that. No, I think he's going to come through. He's not going to be a bust. I mean, there's always that percentage possibility, but I think he is going to.
I think, but with our history, I think the percentage of possibility for a high school pitcher to bust is about 100%. I mean,
Yeah, we've had bad luck.
I mean,
We
Mike
have
Jones
had bad luck.
is going down now. We had J.M. Gold, who's on, I think, his 12th elbow surgery.
Bad luck
somewhere
can't
along
last
there.
forever, though.
I hope you're right, but I just
So that's why I was initially wanted him. I thought 100% certainty that they were going to take a college pitcher. It was like a no-brainer, and everyone did. But I really trust their scouting director, Jack Zarensik, that he's going to make the right choice. And I think that this is the guy him and the rest of the scouts really wanted. So I think he's going to, I trust them. And I think they're doing the right thing by drafting him. I think he's just going to take more time. Right now, he's a name that people have heard of, but we're not going to really hear from him making an impact for 2 or 3 years. That's for a casual fan that watches a draft like in the NFL football or the NBA, where they can see that player that they watch get drafted into the league and make an impact next year. That just doesn't happen in baseball. But I think to be a true baseball fan, it's more exciting to like watch them progress, and then when it does pay off, it's more satisfying or whatever. So either of you guys want to go next with your top 5 then?
We got to go Prince and Richie.
Okay.
Or Ricky Weeks, I should say. I really hesitate to say anything right now because we've been seeing so many injuries at the minor league level. Unfortunately, we've seen Mike Jones hurt the past couple of years. J.J. Hardy, I believe, is hurt right now.
Krenzel.
Krenzel's hurt as well. Those 3 guys would have been on my list, a few months ago.
Well, if they're your favorites, yeah, pick them.
Yeah, I
Because
still think that they've got a
they'll
great
fall
upside. I would still put them on my top 5 list, but we have to see how they come back from injuries too, and maybe it'll make them a little bit more mature. They'll be able to battle through something, because they're going to have to be strong mentally as well to play at the major league level.
I think Krenzel's really interesting because are we really sold on Scott Pasetnik really being the center fielder of the future or not?
I don't think that we can be after the first half.
And I think that gives us depth, and we also have Tony Gwynn Jr., who I don't think is going to necessarily be a major league starter, but to give us the depth at the center field position. And so with that being said, I think we'll have time. By the time Krenzel is ready to make an impact, maybe our opinion of Pasetnik will be different, or if it's even still high, I'll give us some trade baits. So either way, it's to have the depth is really great, especially for center field, because those can always be switched. And those type of guys can play either the corners because they're the most talented.
Pasetnik is made to be a left fielder. The guy really cannot field in center field. He doesn't have the arm to do it. We watch guys taking bases pretty liberally on him the entire season. He's misplaying fly balls.
He's getting better.
He's getting better, but he's getting bad jumps on balls. He's making up for it with the speed, but he's botching some plays he should make. Guys are taking extra base on him. They're going to third on a single that they shouldn't be able to with an average center fielder. I think he's got a below average arm. He's got good range, but he's got poor instincts.
He's definitely getting better at going back on the deep ball. I mean, you see him, he takes off after it and just breaks into a sprint, and then after that, he looks back up for the ball. And that's kind of good. It used to be that he would just laser beam on the ball and run with it the whole way, and you just don't have enough speed when you get there.
No.
So it's like one of those things that you can't count on those prospects. Now, if we were going to count on Krenzel, maybe we would have traded Pasetnik already last year. But there's one of those things that you have to wait for these guys to perform on the major league level to really see if they're going to make an impact or not. So you can't count on those minor leaguers that much, but it is exciting to wait for them. So what about Scott? Go ahead.
I was just going to say this isn't exactly part of the question, but I kind of like to throw it out here right now
Yeah.
in this format. What do you guys think about a guy like Overbay, who's obviously having a great year? We'd love to have him in the lineup if he continues to perform like this. No team would not want to have a guy like Overbay. What do we do when a young prospect like Prince Fielder comes up, somebody who we've all put on our top 5 prospect list for the Brewers? Do we move him to the outfield? Can we do something with a guy like Lyle, or do we trade him? Or do we trade a prospect? Do we
Well,
trade
it's the same
Prince
problem we're
Fielder,
having with
Brett
Nelson right now. We have 2 big power prospects in the minor leagues, and they have to try to teach them a new position. It's just it's so difficult to have a guy like that learn, especially Prince Fielder, who's 5'11", 240 pounds, not exactly built for.
No, I mean, he
Any other
has to
position
stay at
besides
first.
first? Right.
There's no other options for
No.
Prince. I hate to say it. And he's
true.
going to be an impact guy, so you're going to have to shuffle those other guys around. But again, it gets us the depth. Overbay, okay, he gives us the option. Maybe we can move him to right or left. That's maybe the only option.
Jenkins could play left, or
Yeah.
Overbay could play right.
I mean,
Jenkins could play right.
Jenkins could play right.
I hate to say it now because he's become a fan favorite, but if we deem that Prince is ready by next trading deadline, maybe someone who's can bring us value back, maybe even a starting pitcher, but we'll have to see what we need at that time. But again, as they have their success with the Brewers, like Pasetnik did last year, Overbay's become a fan favorite this year. You don't want to mess with your core fan base that are coming to watch these guys by keep trading. But I think the true fans understand that it's a process, and if you have that depth, it's going to be a good thing. So and not only that, but one guy who intrigues me, who's in our minors, who I really think would be like if he was in another system, but maybe be the number one prospect for that team, is Brad Nelson. I think he has almost as much power potential as Prince. The problem with him being is we're teaching him to play right field because of Prince, and I don't think he's going to have the major league defensive qualities in right field. But I really would hate to trade his bat. I like his bat more than Overbay's even. I mean, as far as long term, I really think he's going to be a 30 to 40-year-old major league home run hitter for 5 to 10 years, if not more. So what do you? I mean, the depth is great to have, but him, I think because of that, he might be one of the most likely prospects to be traded if we were ever to be in contention at some point. That he might be someone. Him or Lyle, I think, will get traded in the next 2 to 3 years. I hate to say it, but I mean, there's just not too many positions for those guys, especially with Corey Hart possibly taking up right field or left field for. So yeah, that's a good question, but all right.
I'll just rattle mine off pretty quick. Obviously, Prince and Ricky Weeks are going to be up there. Haven't said a lot about Tony Gwynn Jr., but definitely if he has half the bat his dad did, he's going to be lights out. Obviously, Mark Rogers, there's a huge upside there, and I'm not all about drafting high school pitchers necessarily, but this guy was he was eager, and that was cool. He signed right away, and it seemed like he was really happy to be here, and sometimes that's more important than the experience you have so far. He's got the stuff, there's no question. And I'm not giving up on Ben Hendrickson yet. I think he's going to be really good. I think you'll see him in the rotation next year.
Oh, I agree. I think he's going to be in the rotation for a long time. Hendrickson, like I said, he's going to struggle a little bit coming up. He was just started the AAA All-Star game this year. So, I mean, he's got the talent. He showed it at the AAA level. So I think he just needs to make that next step. And sometimes guys will make it, perfect right away. But most guys are going to struggle for a while. But then he'll find his groove. And I think he'll even find it this season. So all the experience that we can leave him with here in this season is just going to make him better next year. So that's why even if the Brewers fall a little bit further back, I think we just got to stick with him. I mean, if he keeps getting lit up and he's the only, we're still in contention, maybe we got to think about sending him back and getting someone who will really step up. But other than that, maybe even a veteran, like maybe let Burbis start if really we have no other option as a third pitcher. But I'd really like to see Hendrickson stay up the whole year and see what he can do. And I think within a month he'll really start coming through and being somewhat solid.
Yeah, if we really need somebody, we've always got Kinnear over Mueller.
Yeah.
Real emergency start.
We don't, not Kenny.
I don't see
Hendrickson.
Hendrickson's not a guy that's going to benefit from going back to AAA, though. He's got the stuff to do it. He's relying too much on his fastball right now, and he's got his curveball over for strikes. But that's not something he just can harness. I think he's done it in the minor leagues. He just needs to learn how to do it in the major leagues. Just throw his pitches for strikes.
I'm pretty sure that right now, obviously, it's just one of those things where Maddox doesn't know a lot about him. He doesn't know a lot about how Maddox philosophies. And when they get together, just over the next year, you'll see it probably as early as spring training, and you'll see he'll start to come around.
I think it's really.
Well, he said, 2 major league starts? I mean, tonight
Yeah.
was the second major league start. I'm not going to give up on a guy after 2 bad starts.
I think we really are underestimating the role that Chad Moeller plays in a lot of these guys starting.
Sure.
We have no faith in Gary Bennett at all, but Chad Moeller has been pretty outspoken and working with the pitchers. He only has a couple starts in the major leagues. I think once he gets a kind of a rhythm with the catcher, I think they'll help him out a lot.
It's actually an excellent point that through all this we're giving credit to Melvin for finding the guys, Yost for being a great manager, Maddox for shaping the pitchers, and the guys themselves for coming through. But one guy maybe doesn't get enough credit, and to me I expected more from him offensively, and he's really not come through for that. I mean, he did have the motorcycle day, but besides that, I mean, really he's been basically on par with our other catchers we had for years and years and years, which is 230 to 240 hitter with
200
minimal power or less. But I mean, so I expected more from him than that. But on the other regard, maybe he's really handling the staff. I mean, Ben Sheets had catchers all these years, and it's a growing cycle, but he was a 500 pitcher coming in this year with an ERA over 4. Right now, he's on pace to possibly win 15 to 18 games and have an ERA about 2.5 with over 220 strikeouts probably. So that's just a phenomenal breakout season. So some of that's got to be attributed to Moeller, as well as Sheets just making that next step, which we've been waiting for a long time. But as you see, Sheets was a college pitcher, and it took him that long with major league experience, 3 or 4 years of major league experience, to finally become what I would deem now as a true ace. And those are just something they're the most valuable thing in baseball is to have a true ace. So in the Brewers, I can't remember the last time the Brewers really had one. Maybe you could consider Teddy Higuera one, but he was somewhat a flash in the pan as far as longevity goes. So really, besides that, the history of the Brewers is 1970. We haven't had very many. I wouldn't even consider Pete Vukovich or someone like that, guys that won Cy Young. It's been a true ace. But Ben Sheets really gives hope for the future for the
I
Brewers.
think what Chad Muller also brings is guys that don't have an out pitch. If you look at like Capiano or Doug Davis, where they really haven't had like the big strikeout pitch, he's developing a strikeout pitch. These guys, Capiano's almost a strikeout in an inning. Davis is striking out more than he ever has. The high fastball, I mean, it blows up in their face sometimes, but it's developing a strikeout pitch for them that sets up their changeup in the outside corners that we've seen out of lefties as long as he's been alive. I think he's done such a good job of working that high fastball into the mix.
Yeah.
It's
So, I
working.
mean, kudos to Moeller and Bennett when he's in there, too, to whatever they're doing with this
No
pitching
kudos to
staff.
Bennett.
Because
I would go so far as to say that Muller's obviously, I would say he's up to par with just about every aspect of the game, but the one thing that he really shines is he calls a great game.
Oh yeah, he can't hit for spit, but he's pretty good at everything else.
But
I
yeah,
think
He's hitting
beyond
all right
pretty
for a
good.
catcher.
I think he's beyond pretty good. I think he's done an amazing job with the pitching
Yeah,
staff
I
this year.
agree.
He really has.
all right,
To
well,
have 3 or 4 pitchers who've got ERAs like we do right now,
it's
and
just, I
going
can't.
projecting wise to double digit wins, I think is it's a pretty amazing thing with
Yeah.
the staff. So.
Yeah, I really can't believe I'm
I mean,
amazed.
You're clearly at a loss for words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let me do my top 5 prospects. And again, I don't want to go with the rest. Well, I do have Prince as my number 1. I really think that he's got future Hall of Fame potential. I think he's going to have 35 to 50 home run power. And not only that, but unlike his dad, who hit probably like 260 career, he's got that almost as much power as his dad, but he can hit for average. I really think he's going to be able to have a high on-base percentage. He takes walks. He'll strike out enough, but he'll also be able to hit between what I think 310 and 320 consistently. So, I really expect a lot from him, and he's someone that I'm really excited about. Besides that, I really think, unfortunately, Ricky Weeks is being a little bit overrated. I'm not just basing this on the fact that he's struggling at Huntsville right now, but I think for second, I think he will eventually be a 320 hitter with speed. But I think right now, I don't think he's going to develop that much power. I think he's really going to. I think he's
fine
going to
with
be like
that.
a 10 to 15 home run hitter with maybe 60 RBI power.
But he's also a second baseman too.
Yeah. So for a second baseman, if he can, I really just expect him to be able to hit for a high average. If he can hit over 300 for most of his career, I think he's going to pan out to be a great.
So who would you compare him to? Like,
If I had to
Major
compare
League
him to
Baseball player.
someone in the major leagues right now, I would actually compare him to possibly Jose Vidro with a little bit more speed.
which is pretty
Which is-
pretty good.
Pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be just fine.
But I think some people really had thought he had a higher ceiling than that. I really don't know if he does. Like, people are comparing him to Ricky Henderson, who plays second base. I don't think he quite has that type of on-base capabilities or speed or base running ability. But I guess we'll see. He's still young. But anyway, I'm not putting him number 2. I'm going to put J.J. Hardy at number 2 because I think this is someone who's got all the intangibles. He's a great fielder who I think everyone who watches baseball really gets into the hitting, but I think an underrated type of stat is really the fielding. And I think that's what Counsell's bringing us this year. Hardy's going to bring to us for, I hope, 10 to 15 years and having I really expect him to be one of the, a Brewer great for a long time on par with Yount Mild, or maybe that's not type of career as far as Hall of Fame quality, but I really think that he's going to be a solid guy who's going to hit between 280 and 300 each year with 20 to 25 homers and 80 RBI power and good on-base skills as well as being a good fielder for a long time. So I really think I'm going to pick him as my second best prospect. I'm going to put Ricky Weeks third. I do think he's going to come through for us. But kind of my favorite prospect right now in the minor leagues is actually Manny Parra. I know that you mentioned him, but I really think if he can avoid the arm trouble like no one else in the minors seems to can. But if he can do, I really think he's going to be a top quality number 2 left-handed starter. I think he's going to have a career similar to the year that Doug Davis is having this year. This is what I expect from Manny Parra in his prime for about 10 years worth of like what Doug Davis giving us this year, which is about 15-win season with a solid ERA and lots of quality starts. That's what I expect from Manny. The other guy who I haven't mentioned yet, who's on this list, who was, again, one of my favorites, who's going to be a few years away, is actually Lou Palmisano. Knew that was coming, didn't you? So he's a catcher we drafted in the I think, second round. Was it?
Yeah,
or,
it was second round.
or no, third round, because we drafted, or was it the same year we drafted
we
Tony
took-
Gwynn?
yeah,
So
took
we must have took him in the
Yeah,
third
third
round.
round.
Yeah, third round. But he's right now at below 8, but I really think that he's going to be a great hitting catcher, which is hard to find. Not only that, but he's got, he gives 100% effort. He's tough as nails. He's very likable, and I think he's just one of those guys who's got it, whatever that is. He's got it, and not too many catchers you're going to find like that. I think he's going to be able to hit in the range of 300 with possibly 15 to 20 homer power from the catching position. The Brewers have not seen something like that since Ted Simmons, so
Exactly.
you've got to get excited about that guy, about Captain Lou. So we'll see how that goes. So all right, let's quick wrap up this whole segment with kind of carrying on. It's been fun, but let's give now our second half predictions for the Brewers. What do you expect from the Brewers in the second half? Do you expect them to stay in contention? Do you expect them to fade? Do you expect them to tank? Or, give us your thoughts, and then we'll wrap up the segment by saying we'll predict the total number of wins we think the Brewers will end up with after having 45 at the break. So who wants to start this off as far as predictions for the second half?
I can start it off. I think that right now we're kind of going on smoke and mirrors. We haven't been able to hit. I don't see that really turning around that much with the players we've got right now. I think we've kind of been counting on our pitchers. Our pitchers have been pitching out of their minds so far, so I don't know if we can really count on it to continue. I'd love to say I'd hope for us to finish with 86, 87 wins, but I think that finishing with even 80 would be really positive at this point. We got a tough schedule going on now. We start playing the Cardinals again. We still play the Pirates like 20 times. So
Pirates are garbage.
I think realistically, I think that we're looking at 79
They kill us,
wins.
but they're garbage.
What I would say.
We kill the
What's
Cardinals.
79 wins.
79
your
wins.
prediction? Okay. That's a pretty solid number, though. I think that they'd be pretty proud with that.
yeah.
What about you guys?
Well, I'm going to say the Brewers are probably one of the most, this year, the Brewers are one of the most consistent teams that I've seen in a long time. Like you said, I think earlier in the program, they lose a couple of games, and then they go back and they win in just the same number of games. So I'm going to say that because they're rated consistency, I'm going to pick them to finish with about 83, 84 wins, a couple games over 500.
Nice.
Which is going to be a huge step in the right direction for
that'd
this
be-
organization.
that'd
It's
be
going to be
phenomenal.
great, very positive. So I'm really excited about the way this year's going so far. And we're lacking offense right now, and imagine if we lack that offense and still finish with 83 wins or something like that. So,
And I think if they do finish with 83, 84 wins like you're predicting, I think that means they're going to be in the race, and there'll still be excitement for
Sure.
at least until the middle of August.
you know what?
if
It's a
not
tough
longer.
division. It's a
Yeah.
really tough division. But the wild card is giving hope to teams like Milwaukee.
Yeah, which-
even teams like
yeah.
Chicago this year. It's going to be exciting for us here in August. I think we're going to have a real good time of it in the Brewers ticket office, certainly, and in Milwaukee in general. So.
Yeah, definitely. So what about you, Scott?
It's definitely been an excellent year so far. I'm assuming that, like I said before, I think the Brewers are probably going to sell, and that's going to cost them a couple wins. Having said that, we haven't been blown out of very many games this year, and this team definitely shows that they can come back. So they're always going to be fun to watch, and they're always going to be in every game, especially with their pitching. I'm going to give them 82 and 80. So that's going to give them over 500 year, and we can break that streak, and then we can build on it next year. No more this 11 season, whatever.
Okay, well, that's good. So that's
Winning
great.
season.
82 wins, 84,
83,
79, which is more realistic, I think. Well, not to put for Brian, but
Really depends on how much they sell. I mean,
yeah, I think you're right. All right. Well, what I really think is, before the season, I really looked at the team and I'm like, no, if we can play up to what I think is our potential, I think we can be a 500 team. But I say that every year. So I'm like, okay, so all right, let's really put this in perspective. We lost over 100 games. Like, can we really make that step to 500? And before the season, I said, well, I don't know if we can. I think we'll win more games than last year, maybe up to 10 more. So I think that'll be a great step forward, and then we'll see what happens as we go forward. But after